All right, we know you're gonna drink tonight. New Year's Eve, December the 31st, 2022. We're your buddies here on Sports Frenzy 2.0. That's Dave.
That's Kevin.
We know, we get it, we understand, we live that life. We're a little bit older now, a little bit wiser.
We stay in and get hammered. We don't go out on amateur night roads.
But maybe last night on the 30th, you still went out, had a few too many.
Warm up.
So we're here, as we always are, each and every Saturday morning to get you through your fucking hangover so you can go out and do it again tonight.
Wake up and get ready to roll.
Movies, music, TV and streaming, moments of silence, dumbasses. It is the weekend edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0. Now, as 2022 draws to a close, that means just like everybody else out there,
Happy New Year, and we gotta top lists.
Yep, so we're starting our best of 2022. And since we're not seeing any concerts this week, we figured the first thing we would start off with is our top 5 concerts of the year. Now, Dave and I go see a lot of concerts, most of them together.
Yep. Some separate here
Not
and there.
many, but
not
a few.
many. I know I had 16 that I counted up because I hit one with the family that you did not go to.
Yes, that would be about what I would say too. Yeah, 15 for me, 16 for you. I did have that one written down. Your Ghost and Volbeat.
Ghost Volbeat.
Yep. So, let's count it down, Dave, as they like to do on New Year's Eve. Let's go from 5 to 1.
There we go.
My 5th best concert. Now, I told Dave I cheated. I'm not taking the whole concert.
Actually, I have to recount because there went to 2. You did not go see Garth Brooks.
No, I did not. So, yeah, you get another one on that.
So,
yeah. And I don't think, did I see one with Cass this year? I don't think I did.
You might have.
I don't think so. She wasn't here this year. So, I think you've got me by 2. So, I cheated. I'm not counting the entire concert experience unless I want to. Otherwise, I'm only counting the individual acts, whether it be the opening act or the headliner. I'm not going to penalize. I'm not going to penalize the headliner for a bad opening act or vice versa.
That's fine. I agree with that because
if it all works together, then that's good too.
There we go.
So my 5th best concert of 2022, Judas Priest at Wings Event Center in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
There you go.
The Priests do not disappoint.
They do
Even
not.
though it was the same encore as last year, the set list otherwise was almost entirely different from our 2021 venture up to Grand Rapids to see them. They were awesome as usual, still bringing it. My 5th best concert, 2022, is Judas Priest.
There you go. My 5th best, I will say, would be Garth Brooks 2 at Notre Dame Stadium. This time, because it wasn't the going through, redoing songs, filming for the special. The weather was beautiful. We got a real concert. We got the stuff that we didn't get before. Garth's wife, Trish Yearwood, came out for a couple songs. He did some extra stuff. Thoroughly enjoyable. In the nicer weather this time around.
All right, my 4th best concert of 2022 is, again, not counting opening acts, one of my personal favorite bands. Glad I got to see them with you. Stone Temple Pilots. I thought they put on a fantastic show here locally at Four Winds Field in South Bend. Thoroughly enjoyed it. STP is my number 4 of the year.
There you go.
You're hesitating.
Billy Joel. Just haven't seen him, and I think it was because the build-up, the years waiting for it
The COVID
to come
years.
back.
the COVID
years. So there you go.
Yeah, and of course, most of the shows that we saw, like Dave said, we're well over 12, 13 shows that we saw. Most of them are good. Bon Jovi! Bon Jovi sucks!
Oh, I've got my 3 worst.
No, you're going to do worst?
I've got my 3 worst for you, kids.
Okay. I'm going to let Dave do that here when we're done. I guarantee I know what number 1 worst is. I guarantee. But, okay, so I've got Priest at 5, STP at 4. Third might be a curveball. A little bit of a curveball. Rival Sons. Rival Sons, not Greta Van Fleet.
See, I'm
separating Greta Van Fleet.
There you go. I will give you that.
Rival Sons, I thought were, for what, 40-minute set?
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. I have been listening to them the rest of the year, ever since we saw them. They are my new favorite band in terms of, a new discovered band that I had not known before. And the funny thing is, I was looking through some of their older albums on Amazon, and there was a review. I am not joking. A review that said, if you think Greta Van Fleet is manufactured and stiff, then Rival Sons is the answer. And it's like we saw them together. Why would anybody pair them together if they're actually the opposite? Wouldn't you normally try to pair bands together that are similar?
You would think
with
normally.
Similar fan bases. But this guy summed it up in his review of their debut album and said, if you think Greta Van Fleet is a manufactured band, a stiff band, then you need to listen to Greta Van Fleet or Rival Sons.
See, I can see that Greta's first album, when they first came out, that we wanted to see them.
Right.
Was beautiful. The second album, over-manufactured.
And the third one wasn't any better.
And the third one was even worse. And we'll get to that when I get to my bottom.
Oh,
3.
No. Okay.
So,
what's your number 3? Best. Number 3.
Number
best.
3, best. Mammoth WVH Dirty Honey together in the small venue. Was a fun, rocking little show.
Pierre's in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Yep.
So, there we go.
Well, that's funny, Dave, because my number 2 show of 2022 is Mammoth WVH and Dirty Honey at Pierre's.
There we go.
Great combo. Great show. They were awesome together. They brought it. The energy was there. It was fantastic. Loved every second of it. Very, very good show. That's my number 2 of the year.
I had a difficult time going 2-1. I think what my 2 will wind up being your 1.
Oh, you're going to disappoint me. Yep. Okay.
I am, but I have to.
Okay.
So number 2 will be Roger Clyne and the Peacemakers. Excellent show. They did a great job. Small club venue. We had a great time.
The Hi-Fi in Indianapolis.
Yep.
Yes.
Very good show.
Yep. Get my number 1. Number 1 show is Bon Jovi. No,
not.
No, my number 1 show is by far Roger Clyne and the Peacemakers at Hi-Fi in Indianapolis. Maybe at most couple hundred people in there with us. Third time we have seen the glorious Roger Clyne with the Peacemakers. I felt each and every time it's gotten better and better.
They are so good.
Each and every time I feel closer I feel like I'm part of the family. That's why I want to get a Peacemaker's tattoo.
There you
I
go.
want to be a Peacemaker. And I still think we should consider going to see them again at Bell's here coming up this spring.
I think we may have to.
We can bring Mrs. C so she can actually experience it for the first time.
Yep.
So she can
she's on the fence. She wants to think that that's.
I know she does.
Our thing.
And I appreciate that. You don't know how much I appreciate that when she lets you have the latitude to do the Sports Frenzy concerts with just you and me. And I do appreciate that. Like when we, a couple months from now, we're going to see the Great Altar Bridge with Mammoth again. But it'd be kind of cool to see her reaction to it once.
Yeah.
To see somebody, an outsider.
For the first time, the whole
a
thing.
non-Peacemaker come in and see what they think.
Yeah.
The people we were talking to at the concert, we started to feel like a Jimmy Buffett fan wants to be a parrot
it had
head.
that vibe.
And we're talking to these people at this show, and we're comparing notes. We made
a 2.5 hour drive. They made a 6-hour drive.
Right. And we felt like we were finally part of the Roger Clyne family.
Yeah.
Even though we didn't shell out money to get in the lottery to play the triangle during the King of the Hill
rendition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought that was, again, the 3 times we've seen them, every time gets better.
Yeah.
By far my favorite show of the year.
Yeah. No, for me, number 1 was the Ghost Volbeat show. Family trip up. Opening act sucked balls. They were awful. But Volbeat and Ghost more than made up for it with the whole stage presence. Sound was beautiful for Volbeat. It sounded like you were listening to the album. Their sound guy is freaking incredible. And then with Ghost, the whole stage presence with the faceless ghouls and the backdrop and everything, they both put on a hell of a show. And it was a lot of fun. And it was enjoyable there with the boys. Priest wound up at 6 for me, just outside.
Yep. And my 6th was the triple bill of Tom Kiefer, LA Guns, Faster Pussycat. That was my 6th. That was close. I was really close with that one. But we saw other great shows. But Dave's got his bottom 3. I'm going to let him do that. But, of course, we saw Jackal this year, which was fantastic, as always.
As always.
The family reunion. We saw Kansas and Doobie Brothers were both great.
Yep. Sammy Hagar in the Circle and George Thorogood.
And, of course, you mentioned Billy Joel. I thought that show was great, too.
Yep. Steel Panther we had in there.
So, I want to hear this, though. You will take the floor here because I'm always all about the negativity.
The negativity.
Dave's got his bottom 3 concerts.
Third worst. And it was more the venue and the inability for them to get the sound right to the cheap seats. The stadium tour, Joan Jett, Poison, Def Leppard, and Motley Crue.
Can I tell you something?
Oil Field.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but you made me think of something I wanted to discuss with you, and I think on mic, this is a good time to talk about it. Because last year, we loved, in Lucas Oil Stadium, Guns N' Roses and Mammoth WVH.
Yep, the sound was good there.
We were one deck down.
Lower.
Amazing how much the sound was different.
The acoustics in the place.
Just one deck down.
Just one deck
we
down.
didn't pay for really expensive seats. They moved us.
Because it wasn't sold out. So
just
with this
something to think about.
So next up, second worst. Rival Sons was fantastic, but Greta Van Fleet, not good. Their sound was awful. It kicked out during their first song. They stretched things out. We talked about their albums being overproduced and manufactured. Their concert was overproduced and manufactured. It was just a big disappointment. So, just not an enjoyable part of that show. Number one, biggest disappointment, worst show was Bon Jovi. We've been at the Field House in Indy before with great sound in the similar seats. The sound was god awful, not only for the vocals, but the music. People were walking out. It was just not an enjoyable experience at all.
And you know I agree with you on Bon Jovi. That was so depressing and so disappointing, the way that whole thing turned out between, like you said, the sound, the set lists.
Oh, the set list was brutal.
Awful. Absolutely awful. I agree to a point on Greta Van Fleet. I don't think it was a show where I like Bon Jovi. I say I wish I wouldn't have bought tickets. That's the cutoff point. When you say to yourself, I wish I'd never gone.
That's why that's number one.
Right. After that, the Greta Van Fleet show, even without Rival Sons, I still wanted to see them just to experience the whole thing, the vibe of the younger, the next coming of the great rock and roll band.
But
I agree with you.
Their album did not translate to a concert. It just did not.
No, I agree with everything you said about the show. But I still, number one, much better than Bon Jovi.
Oh, it was. But still, it was in the bottom.
It was a disappointing show.
It was in the bottom three.
Yeah. And I agree with you about the stadium tour, of course. Now, I will say this. I did debate whether or not to exclude Def Leppard, because they were the one out of the whole run
where the sound was
better, and they put on a great show, as they always do. Def Leppard has got to be the most dependable rock band in concert I've ever seen.
Yeah.
They never put on a bad show. Now, you know what songs you're going to get.
Right. I wish they would mix it up a little bit more.
Right.
But
now, here's one, though. If I could throw my 2 cents in.
Go for it.
I'm not going to rank them like you, but I loved your list. Fantastic. Queensryche.
Bad.
Queensryche was awful.
They were
awful.
Not
I know
good.
It's not Jeff Tate. He's not involved in the band anymore, but now they're acting like they're more of a really hard rock, almost screamo band. Don't even acknowledge the hits from the old days. When we saw them open for the Priest, they played Empire, and that was it.
Yeah, that was disappointing.
Yeah, so that's why I needed to separate the Priest
from Queensryche.
And like I need to separate Rival Sons from
Greta.
Because it's not fair that Rival Sons should suffer for Greta.
There you go.
Or the Priest should suffer for Queensryche. So, but again, not too far off.
No.
And I'm glad you had fun at the Ghost and Volbeat show.
Yep, it's not your cup of tea.
No. Otherwise, we were kind of in line.
Yep.
For the most part.
For the most part, with the big guns.
Yep. No, we didn't see Skid Row.
No, not this time around.
Big guns pointed at my heart, and we're not going to see them this year because they want too goddamn much money. $50 for standing room.
Yeah, no.
For them and Buck Cherry, kiss my ass.
Nope, not gonna.
Kiss my ass.
Not.
I actually looked at those again last week just because I was
just to see. Did they really put that?
Yeah. Did I really see that right? And sure enough,
son of a bitch,
$49.50.
Nope.
After fees.
We will wait when it doesn't sell out and they come down.
That's a possibility. They do that, so we'll see. But we've seen Buck Cherry before, and you like them more than I do.
I do.
I don't like them.
You don't like them as much as I do.
No, we saw them open with 3 Days Grace.
For Nickelback.
Yeah. Now 3 Days Grace I love.
3 Days Grace is really damn good.
Yeah. But now we've got lawn passes, as we discussed in the past. We're going to see ZZ and Skinnerd and Loverboy and Foreigner and Bret Michaels and Night Ranger and fucking A, we're going to rock out this summer.
It will be good.
And then you go see Shania Twain.
Yep. There's going to be a few that we'll differ on.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what it's all about.
It's a beautiful thing, music. Yep. All right.
Couple songs, new songs. Now, next week, we will be doing our top 5 songs of 2022. But that does not mean we're going to stop reviewing the new stuff.
That's right. So this, we start with Quiet Riot's Lost Track. I Can't Hold On.
And the video's heartbreaking. If you've watched the video, I don't know if I can't even recommend it because it's so heartbreaking. You see Frankie Banali getting treated for cancer in the hospital, and I don't know if
we don't need.
But the song itself, it's okay.
It's okay. This would have probably been a top 10 80s ballad.
Yeah.
It would have hit top 10 in the charts in the 80s as a ballad.
Yeah. But now,
right up there with Cheap Trick's The Flame.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
You know I don't like that song, though. Don't.
And it's sad.
God. You're hurting. No, because this song's better. The Flame sucks. The Flame sucks.
Which is sad because that was their only #1 hit.
I know. And I know. They feel like they've got to play it, and I know it probably kills them. It probably feels like Robin Zander and Rick Nielsen, they get kicked in the balls every time they've got to play it. And it's a shame because that is not indicative of Cheap Trick. No. Just like this song would not be indicative of Quiet Riot. This song is better than The Flame, but to me, I can't give it higher than 2. It's a 2 Frenzy song.
It's a 2 Frenzy. I gave it a weak 2.5.
It's not terrible.
It's not terrible. It's a decent little song, but it's not Quiet Riot.
Yeah.
This is outside of their...
Quiet Riot didn't do ballads.
No, they didn't, which is why it's a lost track.
Right. And now we turn to a band that I kind of am trying to get Dave into because I think he would like them.
The new super group.
Right. Now, they've been around for a little while. Yeah. This is their 3rd album coming out. First single off that 3rd album is Xanadu. The Winery Dogs, Richie Kotzen, Billy Sheehan, Mike Portnoy, drummer for Dream Theater, Billy Sheehan, of course, bass player for Mr. Big and David Lee Roth. Richie Kotzen had a brief stint replacing Bret Michaels in Poison.
Yep, he's doing vocals and lead guitar.
Right.
And the guitar intro on this was freaking phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the first 2 Winery Dogs albums. I like this band a lot. Not a lot of fanfare, though. They don't get, outside of Eddie Trunk. Eddie Trunk loves them. He always interviews them, puts them on his podcast in a Sirius XM show.
He's the reason they got Kotzen in there.
Xanadu is a really good song. Really good song.
This is very solid.
Yes. I give it 3 Frenzies.
Right on the money where I have it at 3. Yeah, it's enjoyable. I want to hear more from them.
Yes. Kotzen's vocals may be a little weak. The vocals.
Little on this one.
But again, I recommend to Dave. He listens to the first 2 albums because they're just as good. And I will be definitely checking out 3. The upcoming album from the Winery Dogs.
Yep, that is definitely one we have got to do the full album review.
Oh, we will. Because if nothing else, we've got nothing else to review.
There's nothing else out there, yeah. So there you go.
All right. Now, we talked about earlier this week on our regular Sports Frenzy podcast about we don't want to be so negative all the time.
Because we always have the dumbass of the week.
So we were thinking, and Dave seconded, hear, hear.
Hear, hear.
Dave did the old Jesse James Dupree, hear, hear. So we decided that maybe now we are going to start trying to do, if we can do it weekly, the Clint Eastwood Badass of the Week award in both sports and entertainment.
For those who have done something special
cool.
Going the extra mile to be the good person.
Right. Because we've got to get away from the dumbasses. We've got to get away from the cancel culture, Hollywood, New York,
The whole
California,
everything.
all of it. So Dave had.
Our first one in sports.
I've got one for the world of music and entertainment. Country star Zach Bryan is my nominee for the Clint Eastwood Badass of the Week. Zach Bryan is putting out a new live album. The title of said live album is All My Homies Hate Ticketmaster. He is also going on to say that for his limited run tour coming up, he is going to find a way to get cheapest possible tickets out to his fans because he understands and he cannot stand the monopoly that is Ticketmaster and Live Nation.
Hear, hear.
So, the inaugural weekend edition Clint Eastwood Badass of the Week, Zach Bryan.
All right. Love it.
All right, next week, as I mentioned, we will be doing our top 5 songs of 2022 and one new single. Could be the theme song for Dave or I.
Unredeemable.
From Nickelback.
Yes, we just reviewed their new album.
Get Rollin'.
Get Rollin'. This is not part of it.
No, this is inspired by the Apple TV Plus show, the holiday show, Spirited, which starred Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds. Of course, Apple does their best to keep their content away from anybody and everybody. So we have not watched it. I'm not going to watch it.
Nope, not
even
gonna
though I
do it.
have every other streaming service other than Apple.
And to be honest, even if I had it, I have no desire to see it.
No. But we will review Unredeemable next week, along with our top 5 songs, tracks, singles, whatever you want to call them, of 2022. That being said, segment 1 is over. We will be back with our review, long awaited, of the biggest movie of 2022. Dave and I watched Top Gun Maverick. What did we think? Did we fall in line with everybody else, or maybe
did we hate it? We don't know.
Stay tuned. You'll find out in segment 2. We'll be right back. In the fortress of solitary justice, 2 brave men hold the fate of the sports world in their hands, with the utterance of a single word: frenzy! These seemingly ordinary men become the maestro and the conquistador, destined to save the world from stupidity on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Apple, and all noble podcast hosts everywhere. Dave and Kev stand for truth, justice, and the frenzy way.
Happy New Year, everybody out there. I'm the Conquistador, Dave Height.
And I'm the maestro, Kevin Crane.
And welcome to segment 2 of Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition, here dropping New Year's Eve morning as we tape the 28th of December. Getting ready to ring in 2023. Hopefully, things will improve a little bit over the last few years that we've had. It's got to get better, right?
It's got to get better, right? It's got to get better.
Got to get better.
And then it's
all right.
Going to get better on
Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Amazon, Audible, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher! Movie time, kids.
All right. The biggest movie of 2022. It is time for the best movie critics out there, namely Dave and I, to review Top Gun Maverick, which just hit on Paramount Plus over the past week. Of course, over $700 million at the domestic box office.
You know my disdain for Tom Cruise. I've made no secret of it over the year and plus we've been doing the podcast. I didn't want to like this movie. It was actually not horrendous.
See, now you and I have, I don't want to say differing opinions on Tom Cruise because he's not my favorite, but yes, we have our disparate views on the Reacher movies, the two Reacher movies. I was willing, even though we know he's short, he's not even close to being physically what Jack Reacher was. The movies themselves are written well, they're done well, in my opinion.
There you go.
I love the Mission Impossible movies. I can't get enough of them. I can't wait for Dead Reckoning parts 1 and 2.
Fantastic in the Mission Impossible movie.
Ethan Hunt.
That's his role. That's his realm.
Changed the whole dynamic of Mission Impossible up while still staying faithful to the original Peter Graves, Martin Landau, that whole vibe from the original TV series. Now, otherwise, you and I probably agree that, people are saying Tom Cruise is the last great movie star because anything he's in is going to make $50 million guaranteed. Okay, that's to me a little bit of a stretch.
That's a stretch. Whatever.
So, you liked Maverick.
I liked it better than I thought I was going to. The basic storyline I didn't have an issue with. Towards the end, it got too Iron Eagle for my liking. The unbelievable over-the-top aspect. But overall, the basic story, I enjoyed. It was decent. The whole coming full circle thing.
Of course, those of you who don't know what he's talking about. It's not a spoiler. Miles Teller plays Rooster, call name Rooster, the son of Goose.
From the original, who died in an unfortunate accident. Maverick took the blame, even though it really wasn't his fault what happened. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes in the story with how things are between them. So, not bad. I did enjoy how they brought in Iceman.
Yeah,
our favorite Val Kilmer.
I thought they did a fantastic job.
That was brilliantly
done.
Bringing
Val in, knowing how limited he is in terms of what he can do, how much he can say.
Yeah.
That was probably the high point of the movie for me. Like you said, Val Kilmer is one of my favorite actors of all time.
Yeah.
And they did him a great service, a dignity. In my opinion, they treated him so well. They made him look, in my opinion, probably stronger and better than he feels and is in real life. Because, of course, we just watched the Val documentary on Amazon.
Yeah.
And we know
how bad a shape he's in and his limited vocal abilities.
And they gave him a lot of dignity, a lot of pride, a lot of respect in how they handled Iceman.
Yeah. So very, very well done in that regard. The flying sequences were unbelievable.
Top notch.
Holy crap.
Highlight of the movie, along with Val, were the flying sequences. There's a maneuver that the unnamed enemy pilot pulls that blew me away.
That was like, okay, that's the enemy's version of Maverick right there.
Yeah.
That was an unbelievable move.
Yeah. That being said, That's the great maestro line. That being said,
Now we talk where it jumps or should we say where it flies the Iron Eagle?
Why am I didn't read reviews about the movie. I don't know a lot of people that went to go see it. Am I the only one that realizes that the main mission is basically Star Wars: A New Hope?
Yeah. I knew that. Yeah, exactly.
They're flying.
You gotta fly the canyon,
drop the bombs right in,
bomb in a small little hole to get the
and pull
boom.
It's so. I'm sorry, it is so blatantly a ripoff from, as the kids call it, A New Hope. I call it Star Wars because to us that's all it was before Chapter 4.
Yeah, it was Star Wars. It was Empire Strikes Back. Return of the Jedi. Boom.
This is
a full Star Wars ripoff.
That's not my only problem with it. As much as I love Jennifer Connelly, it's kind of like a little bit of a forced romance there, and it's awkward and it's weird.
Very
with the daughter.
Weird and awkward.
And then, of course, you've got to have the PC crew.
What the hell was the whole damn sailing scene supposed to be about, by the way?
No idea. That was just bonding. I guess that was bonding between the two of them. And, of course, you've got to have a female fighter pilot make the cut at the end, because otherwise, people are going to get mad and upset and angry and yell and scream. But beyond that, the whole thing with Rooster and Maverick and the reconciliation felt forced as well to me.
It did.
I got to admit, this is not. I'm mixed. I'm torn on this because one part of me wants to cheer and be happy that a movie like this did so well and crushes and destroys all of the Hollywood pretentious crap that's out there that we hate.
Yeah. But again, at the same time, it's a rehash of Star Wars and it's a rehash of Iron Eagle.
Agreed completely. And as valiant an effort as Tom Cruise puts in, and everybody in the movie tries to do their best. John Hamm plays the dick, head of the unit, the Top Gun unit, as best as he can, trying to squash. But everybody else is, Maverick, we really want you to do well. We really want you to win, Maverick.
Yeah.
It seems like while we're supposed to be dealing with a life and death situation, a worldwide crisis with an unnamed enemy.
It's always an unnamed enemy, isn't it?
Very carefully written as an unnamed enemy. Note that. Because we don't want to piss off North Korea or Russia or anybody like that.
Or Iran or Iraq.
So it's just the unnamed enemy. I'm sorry, I didn't get it. It's not a bad movie. Like you said, you hit on all the good points. The Val Kilmer tribute, as I look at it, the aerial sequences are fantastic. But to me, the human element, the acting, the script are subpar. I can only give it 2 frenzies.
I went 2.5.
I was edging towards 2.5, but
it's right in that realm.
The more I thought about it, I couldn't give it 2.5, just because 2.5 is, to me,
that extra half
bare
was
minimum
the extra
recommendation.
The extra half was the aerial stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. But I can't recommend the movie because I don't think in the end it's a good movie. It's an okay movie.
And
I don't understand why everybody's going nutsy, cuckoo, crazy over it again. Because like I said, I'm torn
because it's a nostalgia thing, and it's a feel-good, rah-rah military.
You and I have talked about this in the past. In the 80s, when we grew up,
it wasn't.
Top Gun was not the movie that you and I went, wow, This is one of the... I don't own Top Gun. And look, Dave can look around at my movie library right now and the thousands of movies I own.
Do you know
I
how
don't
many
own
times?
Top Gun.
Do you know how many times I watched Top Gun? Twice.
I think I've only watched it once. I would say Risky Business out of his movies in the 80s was more important to me than Top Gun. Even All the Right Moves was better.
And that wasn't all that good.
But in the end, 80s movies, you're talking Bachelor Party, Caddyshack. You want to go action movies, you're going Steven Seagal. You're going Predator.
Schwarzenegger, you're going...
Right.
Stallone.
I'm sorry,
Russell
Top Gun, I know its importance in the legacy of great movies. Popular movies.
Popular movies, not great movies. And the soundtrack wasn't even all that great.
I just never got the appeal of Top Gun. Again, like I said, I'm a Mission Impossible guy.
There you go.
The Top Gun movies have not impressed me. Not the original, not the new one. So, very tepid reviews here on Sports Frenzy.
Like I said, I kind of wanted to hate it, but I couldn't hate it.
Well, no, I didn't go in wanting to hate it.
Because of all the hoopla
hype
and hype, I didn't want to like it.
Well,
I liked it better than I thought.
That's a problem you and I both have. And we talked about Avatar. You and I boycott Avatar. A lot of it because of the hoopla and hype.
And it just doesn't look good.
Right. Going back to the day, Titanic.
Ugh.
You know. And even if you look at when Star Wars rebooted with The Force Awakens, that was basically a loose remake of what we think is Star Wars.
Right.
Chapter 4, A New Hope. And then again, Top Gun brings it back full circle. Maverick is basically Luke Skywalker trying to destroy the Death Star.
There you go. Summed up beautifully.
All right. Now, technically, this is a movie. It's a documentary. It's only available on streaming. So maybe I'm shifting from TV streaming to movies a little bit more than I should. But time constraints say we're better off doing it here.
Agreed.
Yes, it's a wrestling documentary.
Woo!
Becoming Ric Flair. Dave got the first part, I got the second part.
This one I'm actually going to wind up watching.
Now, I told Dave, I recommended it to him tonight as we started prepping for the podcast because I think with him not knowing the background of Ric Flair, this will be, and for all of you out there as well, if you don't know Ric Flair outside of just the basic wrestling persona, this will be unbelievably fascinating for you. Now, I had already watched a previous documentary, I believe on A&E, about Ric Flair, so a lot of the stuff in this, for me personally, did not come as a surprise. I knew it. So that kind of lessened the effect, the impact. Now, there are still a couple things in here that took me by surprise. And a lot of it has to do with Ric Flair's attitude. Now, the documentary I saw, I think, was 3 or 4 years ago. So his attitudes may have changed a little bit. I don't want to spoil things for anybody. But, of course, he has had multiple near-death brushes. Of course, the rise and fall between, the NWO and WCW and WWE, WWF, all the different wrestling leagues he's gone through. But the thing is, he is considered by many the greatest wrestler of all time. More so because of his promos and his mic skills than his wrestling skills. You know, there are rap songs that feature him.
He's a paragon of self-promotion.
He has got some of the greatest lines, though, ever. You don't need to go to Disney to ride Space Mountain. Space Mountain's right here. Yelling at the crowd. My shoes cost more than you make in a year. Limousine riding, jet flying. He was the man when it came. You did want to be Ric Flair because he is so cool and so awesome, even with the peroxide blonde hair. Again, I'm not going to talk in detail about the documentary because I want Dave and I want you guys to go see it. If you don't know the background of Ric Flair, his family relationship, of course, his daughter now, Charlotte, is a very successful female champion in the WWE. It's a fascinating story.
See, I'm intrigued because he's telling it.
Yes, he is. He is telling it. They brought in an ESPN reporter to interview him. So you get all the emotions. You get everything. You get the arrogance. You get the sadness, the depression, the jubilation. So at some points he's watching his old highlights on a big screen, and you get to see him and how he reacts to the moments in his career and his life. Now, again, take this in mind. I am reviewing this as somebody who's already seen
a biography.
So I'm giving it 2.5 frenzies just because a lot of the stuff was repetitive for me. But again, for those of you who have not delved into his career, his life, seen a biography or read a biography of him before, this will be ultimately completely fascinating because this is going to be more intriguing than anything you get out of Hulk Hogan or Randy Savage, any of those guys. Ric Flair has got the most intriguing, for better or for worse, life of a professional wrestler you could imagine. So 2.5. Personally, I give it the barest of recommendations. But again, qualifying it one last time, if you have not seen anything previously, it's going to bump up. It's going to be a higher rating for you. Because again, for me, a lot of it was repetitive.
All right. There you go.
All right. I think we're moving on to books.
Well, I had a little bit of movie news.
Okay.
That came out late last week that 2 Ana de Armas fans have sued Universal Studios over the film Yesterday because they rented it based on the trailer that showed her in the trailer. All her scenes were cut. And so now a judge has actually ruled that the ruling was, at its core, a trailer is an advertisement designed to sell a movie by providing consumers with a preview of the movie. Now, it's limited to the representations of whether a scene or actor is in the movie. So the case is allowed to go on, and rulings and judgment will be coming. So Hollywood will no longer be able to play a fast one with your emotions in trailers.
This one was an interesting case, and I think we briefly mentioned this a while back when the rumor of the potential case first popped.
Right. It's taken place, and the judge has ruled it can go forward.
Right. And the thing is, this is stretching it farther. This is not a scene that they're showing in the previews that doesn't make the movie. It's an entire actress.
Yes.
Person who they are implying is in the movie who's not.
Yeah. So to these guys, the only reason they rented it was because she was in it. And all of her scenes were cut. So if she's going to be in the previews, she's got to be in the movie, right?
It's false advertising.
Yeah. So
at its core.
They lost money on the bait and switch. That's what it comes down to.
Right. And even if it's just the price of a rental, I'm happy that somebody's standing up and saying, you can't do this. You can't show this person implying that person is in the movie and then they're not in it.
Yep. Doesn't work.
Somebody has got to hold Hollywood accountable.
If you're going to cut the scene, don't show them in the movie. End of story. So kudos to these guys. All right. Book review time. Late last week, I finished reading David Baldacci's latest installment in his Memory Man series, Long Shadows. This one finds our hero dealing with a double murder. So, of course,
how many books are in the series?
It's like 5 now. And so we've got a new partner teamed up here. And he's got to find his way, because after a football injury knocked him senseless, almost killed him, jostled his mind around. Now he's got perfect memory. He sees emotions and things in different colors. So when he arrives on a murder scene, it's all electric blue. And he's not the most, he's very socially awkward. And so he's got to deal with a new partner. They're sent down to investigate the murder of a federal judge and her bodyguard. Bodyguard was shot. The judge, she was brutally stabbed. What the hell happened in 2 different ways of the murder? And so there's a huge mystery involved. The conspiracy trying to figure out what happened while they're being at the same time set up to fail by the FBI, since he's only a consultant and does not play by the rules. So not a bad little ride. I thought it was going to go one way, and it had a nice little twist at one part. So very interesting in that regard. So I will give it 3 for Long Shadows.
And so Baldacci's got how many series going on? He's got the one that I've dabbled in.
The Archer.
The Archer series.
He's got the Memory Man. We have not had a Will Robbie, his assassin, in quite some time. Yeah, those are
now
just
how many
a couple.
books? How many books were in that series?
The Robbie?
Yeah,
like 4 or 5.
Still, it's a series.
Series, and we haven't had one in like 5 or 6 years.
Right.
So I'm waiting on that one. But yeah, when he does the more action-oriented stuff, very good. I haven't read any of his what I would call chick lit. He's done a few of, but for the most part, I will read Baldacci.
Chick lit. Listen to you. You're such a terrible.
What it
man.
is.
Haven't you ever heard of #MeToo?
Maybe. So check out Long Shadows. Check out the Memory Man series. They're worth the read.
All right, since we're talking about books, comic books kind of counts.
Yes. Yes, they do. Reading is reading.
One of the few times on the podcast where I will acknowledge birthdays, outside of course ours, because those are days that should be national holidays.
Paid time off.
Conquistador Day and Maestro Day should be paid time off. Everybody should get a free 6-pack of beer in their garage. But of course, Eddie Van Halen's birthday, David Lee Roth, Sammy Hagar's, of course. But today as we tape, the 28th of December, 2022, very special birthday. This would have been today the 100th birthday of the great, glorious Stan Lee. Man who shaped my life in many ways with his unbelievable creations. Of course, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, the Hulk.
Basically the Marvel Universe.
I don't want to go there because, of course, that'll piss somebody off. Somebody's like, no, I came up with Ghost Rider, or I came up with this, or I came up...
Stan Lee is the founder of Marvel Universe. So suck it, people.
And he was in Mallrats. So...
Damn straight.
That in and of itself gets him a place in the Sports Frenzy Hall of Fame. But for this being his 100th birthday, it needed to be said, it needed to be acknowledged. So Excelsior, Stan Lee, up there in heaven, as you write comic books, turning God into some kind of a superhero with a cool-ass suit, probably a codpiece, dealing with teenage angst as he tries to awkwardly figure out how to approach Mary Magdalene or whoever.
God help us.
The great Stan Lee has to get acknowledgement and tribute here on Sports Frenzy.
Absolutely.
Then finally, off the beaten path to wrap up segment 2, pop culture, kind of a general thing. The end of humanity as we know it is coming. The first automated McDonald's has opened in Fort Worth, Texas. We knew it was coming. All of you people wanting $15 an hour to stare at your fingernails and barely acknowledge the customer at the counter
and put the orders in wrong.
This is what you get. If you had done your jobs better, I guarantee this never would have happened.
And let's face it, working in a fast food restaurant is for high school students and college students trying to get into the working world and make a few bucks. It is not a long-term career to raise a family on.
Right. And I had great times at McDonald's when I was working there through my high school years and a little bit in my college years. Great times. I met some great people, had great times. But again, as Dave said, not a career choice. Should not be a career choice. Should
unless
be a
you're going to be
stone.
a manager.
Should be a stepping stone to
greater
bigger and better things. So you can make money to pay your tuition off so you can become a podcaster like Dave and I. That's it for segment 2. Segment 3 coming up. Lots of TV and streaming to talk about. I have got tons of reviews for you. We've got to talk about the latest episode of Doom Patrol. We've got dumbasses galore this week. So stay tuned. Dave and I will be back for one final segment coming up in just a few seconds. Hello, this is Will Smith. You might know me as the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You might also know me from Bad Boys 1, Bad Boys 2, and Bad Boys for Life. And now you must also know me as an Academy Award-winning actor for King Richard. Also by now, you know there are 2 things I do not like people talking about in my presence. Namely, my open marriage and my wife's lack of hair. Well, now there is a 3rd thing you do not talk about in front of Will Smith. You do not talk about Sports Frenzy 2.0. My boys, Kev and Dave, will hit slap the sports world in Hollywood each and every week on Sports Frenzy 2.0 and the Weekend Edition on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher. Just remember, keep Sports Frenzy's name out your damn mouth. All right, everybody, welcome back. Third and final segment, weekend edition, Sports Frenzy 2.0 here on New Year's Eve 2022. Get ready to spank that baby or whatever else you want to spank.
But
hopefully you do it as Graham Nash said. I believe it was Graham Nash. Love the one you're with. I'm the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the conquistador, Dave Height. Streaming and TV.
Of course, every week we have to talk about Season 4 of Doom Patrol,
which is currently airing on HBO Max.
Episode 4, as we're taping here on December the 28th. Episode 5 will hit tomorrow night. Episode 4 brings yet another new member to the Doom Patrol. Space Case.
Wow.
Very interesting story behind Space Case. Basically, a comic book character come to life.
Yep. Niall's daughter creates her in a moment of need to help rectify the situation, to save Danny Street and everybody therein.
But of course, we're still dealing with the impending arrival of Immortus, which I'm sure will happen right at the end of episode 6 when they take
their break. And
they better damn well start Titans back up again right after that. I was just going to
say, would it be too much to ask to have Titans pick up and then go back to back to back?
But they won't. They'll probably make us wait till March or April before they bring either one of them back.
When everybody else will forget what the hell's going on.
The death knell for any series is when you do this.
It didn't work.
People get bored, especially in this day and age of ADD.
Yeah. I mean, it did not work for The Walking Dead. How many people dropped out?
I'm telling you, they're doing this with Doom Patrol, Titans. I brought this up in the past. Now they're pulling this with Yellowstone. This is not what you do.
No, people do not want to wait
Evil, they pulled it
and
with.
months and months to finish stuff off. They damn near lost me on Resident Alien when they pulled that crap.
So we'll see. We got 2 more episodes to go in the first part of Doom Patrol Season 4. Now, of course, I'm still watching Tulsa King. Now we're through episode 7, Season 1. I don't like to recommend stuff to Dave because I don't want to be that overbearing friend, even though I've
become recommended
Animal Kingdom, and he ended up loving it.
He berated me for years and years and years.
Hell on Wheels, he ended up loving it. But, you know, I don't know anything about recommending good stuff.
I will get to it when I get to it.
But like I said, I believe last week, Stallone, I will be looking at him as best actor overall of the year. He is doing unbelievable work with Tulsa King. As the mob enforcer forced to go to Tulsa from New York after being in jail for over 2 decades, keeping his mouth shut, yet still being treated like crap as he gets out. Very interesting developments here. You know, of course, even though he's in his 70s, just like Ric Flair, Stallone still got it. Still rocking the ladies, still playing Space Mountain to women in law enforcement, to women in clubs, to women running horse ranches.
There you go.
Stallone don't need
Good
that.
For him.
Stallone don't need that little blue pill.
Or maybe that's what keeps him going.
All right, I have 2 series that I finished up to give quick reviews on. I've mentioned here recently. Finished up finally Heels, Season 1 from Starz. Season 2 coming in 2023. Great series about wrestling, localized wrestling. Southern Georgia Wrestling League facing competition from a Northern Florida Wrestling League, the family drama behind the scenes, former stars wanting to jump in and reclaim their old glory, new stars wanting that bump that they're not getting, so they're defecting, they're leaving, they're betraying the leader, Stephen Amell. Of course, he's got issues with his brother, who is supposedly the next big star. So overall, the show, 8 episodes, was great for season 1. I will say this, though, and I'll give it 3 frenzies. Would have been higher except for the last episode.
Isn't it always?
And again, this has been out since late 2021, so I'm not spoiling things. But I will say this much. When you have to resort for your cliffhanger, for your season-ending cliffhanger, one of the key moments to set up season 2 involves somebody shitting their pants.
Oh, come on! Who gave Frances McDormand a cameo?
Yeah, there's no bucket. There's no bucket around. It's just, I don't want to say it's lazy writing, but it's uncreative. It's not.
It's a crap out.
It is. It is. Unfortunately, that's the way to look at it. That's what it is. It's, for all of the good stuff they put in that series through 7 episodes, to end up having part of the twist at the end revolving around somebody literally shitting themselves is disappointing. Disappointing. Lazy writing.
There you go.
Lazy writing. So, but still, it doesn't take away completely from what they did earlier. So 3 frenzies for Heels season 1. And then finally, I finished up the documentary series on Showtime I mentioned with Morgan Spurlock, 7 Deadly Sins. Fascinating series. I'm only going to give it 3 frenzies because some of the stuff is so disturbing and depressing that it really makes you want to go out in the back garage and hang yourself sometimes.
Dude,
because
God.
people are so bad and so vile and so self-absorbed. But again, that's what this documentary series is showing, is the embodiment in current society of the 7 deadly sins. But you've got stuff about women who basically whore themselves out, find ways around being nailed for prostitution because they don't ask for money. They're asking for, well, pay my rent, pay for my cell phone, pay for this, pay for that. So it's not prostitution. Things like that. Just that's we've talked about in the past, some of the earlier episodes when I initially talked about the show. I talked to Dave about the bullets in Wrath, in the episode about Wrath, these expanding bullets that are meant to just completely and totally obliterate the target. Is it good? Is it bad? Depending on how it's used, who gets a hold of it.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating documentary series. It's only about 30 minutes every episode, so it doesn't take that long to get through. 2014, so it's 8 years old, but 3 frenzies, like I said. If it wasn't for the downer factor that most of these segments involve, that just make you feel miserable about the people that you pass on the streets every day and how weird and disgusting and awful they could be.
You know, I always joke with the line, people pay extra for that, which is a sad commentary on society. And this is what people pay extra for.
Right. Right. So in that sense, if you're grounded enough, if you can handle seeing the base level, the bottom level that society can sink to, again, revolving around the 7 deadly sins, fascinating show. but it will depress you.
If you're on antidepressants or have suicidal thoughts, do not watch this show.
Yeah, because you will not come out of this feeling better about humanity at all. But again, very interesting, very well done, very creative in terms of the things that they bring up. Even weight loss is one of the things they brought up in one of the later episodes. People getting mesh squares stitched onto their tongues because it makes it uncomfortable to swallow. That was the only way these people could figure out a way to not eat and lose weight, because they were not disciplined enough to exercise, to not eat, portion control. They couldn't do it. So there is a surgical procedure where they had to have a piece of mesh stitched onto the back of their tongue to make it uncomfortable, painful to swallow.
God.
So basically, they're living on a liquid diet.
Wow.
Another example of this show. And that's the kind of stuff that's involved here.
Jesus.
So, like Dave said, if you're on antidepressants, if you're seeing a therapist about how much life sucks, don't watch this. If you're a little bit more grounded like Dave and I are, you can handle it. But again, 3 frenzies for 7 deadly sins. That being said, we need to move on to better stuff, which would be the premiere of the trailer for That 90s Show coming in 3 weeks on Netflix.
Don't feed him, kitty. That's how the whole thing started the last time. God, I love Red Foreman.
We do. We named not only a segment here on the Weekend Edition, but on the regular Sports Frenzy Edition. He's been around our show for 30 years. Red Foreman is the awesome judge of everything that is stupid in the world.
Yep. Come on, we just got rid of all the dumbasses. Oh, his lines are epic.
Yes, the trailer now is out. Of course, you get to see all of the old characters coming back.
-1.
Yeah. Trial pending.
Yes. Hyde does not look like he's going to be on the show anytime soon.
But we see Fez, we see Donna and Jackie, Eric, and Kelso, and of course Kelso's kid. You can see where this is going a mile away.
God.
Kelso's kid is going to hook up with Donna and Eric's girl.
Yeah, you know it's going to happen.
Cats and dogs colliding, mating together. I can't wait.
Mass toking.
What is Red going to say about that? That is going to be the whole first season, is those two hooking up and trying to keep it away from Grandpa.
And yes, they're back in the basement with the circle.
Yep. Some new kids, of course. As the whole premise of the show is Donna and Eric's daughter comes back to Point Place to stay with the grandparents, Red and Kitty, for the summer, and meets up with a whole new group of friends, including a young Kelso.
Help us.
So we will see. The only thing that worried me about the trailer was that and it's just a trailer, so you don't know. You don't get the full character development.
Right.
I don't see the charisma in these kids that I did in the
originals. Yeah, we'll have to see. It took them a couple of episodes to find their groove too.
Right. That's why I'm saying it's just a trailer. I don't know.
Yep.
I'm not going to judge based on that.
It took a couple episodes for them to find their way. It'll take these kids the same.
Yep. But I cannot wait.
So looking forward to it.
And we, of course, will review each and every episode here on Sports Frenzy 2.0. Time for moments of silence.
It is. I have one for us this week. Joseph Joe Mercer Marley, the grandson of legendary reggae musician Bob Marley, has passed away very, very young. Found unresponsive in his car. It's suspected he died of a severe asthma attack in Kingston. Not good.
No, thoughts and prayers to
Yeah,
all the Marley
31,
family.
31 years old.
And it seems like, I hate to say it, but that kind of stuff follows his family around.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. As we always do, we just talked about him. You know him, you love him. He is the arbiter of dumbasses everywhere. He is Red Foreman, and on Sports Frenzy 2.0, each and every week, we give you the Red Foreman dumbasses of the week. We have got 3 for you here in the world of entertainment. Let's start off with the Bail Project. The Bail Project is a group centered around prison reform with multiple celebrities tied in, not only promoting it, but financing it. John Legend, Danny Glover, Richard Branson at the forefront.
Yep. Going out of whatever states, they do not have a license to be bail bonds people.
No, they pay cash bonds.
They pay cash bonds to people who can't afford it. They don't bother to look into what's going on, what the histories are. They just say, oh, well, this person needs bail to get out. We'll just give them the money.
So the Bail Project had to close their Las Vegas branch after, even though they say it's not connected.
Oh, it's a restructuring of the project.
They paid a $3,000 cash bond to get somebody out of jail who went out and later shot a waiter 11 times.
Committing a robbery, which he was out on bail for committing a violent robbery. Habitual offender.
Luckily, the waiter survived, and now he is suing rightfully
the Bail Project.
The Bail Project.
Along with the perpetrator.
But that's not why they closed the Vegas branch. Not because of the lawsuit. No. Of course not. No. Hollywood, once again, you idiots out there, all you rich celebrities, prove
you don't have a frickin' clue what's going on in the real world.
You are dumbasses. Why don't we stay with that theme?
Let's.
It's not enough. Dave, let me ask you this. If you said something, now we don't, because we're brilliant. Everything we say on Sports Frenzy, we always say we are not apologizing because we think this stuff out. We say what we mean. And if you don't like it, kiss our ass. That's it. End of story.
Right.
But of course, we don't say stupid things. But a celebrity who says something stupid once, they are forgiven in Hollywood, right? Hollywood turns the other cheek, says, always. Okay, you said something stupid. Just don't say it again. Don't say it again. Don't go down that road again. Just walk away. Just go back to your show or whatever you're doing. Don't. Isn't it amazing how stupid these people are doubling down on the idiocy?
And then claiming they weren't doubling down.
Whoopi Goldberg
can't keep her stupid mouth shut.
Comes out yet again after initially erroneously saying the Holocaust was not about race, getting suspended for a couple weeks from her show. Now comes out recently and comes back and says it again. Says it wasn't about race. The Holocaust wasn't about race. People called for her firing.
And she's trying to say, I was answering a question on what happened, and I was just saying what was said.
Now,
right.
finally, this is like Kyrie Irving.
Right.
Kyrie Irving and his whole thing with the Amazon, Jew-hating movie link.
Yeah.
Finally, Whoopi comes out and says, I will admit now that the Holocaust was about race. Because she realized she was going to be ostracized from Hollywood if she didn't. Here's the one thing that we've never really talked about. What is her name?
I have no freaking clue.
No. What's her stage name, though? Not her real name.
Whoopi?
What's her last name?
Goldberg.
Isn't it amazing how she took as a stage name a Jewish last name, yet is so ignorant and stupid and disparaging towards the Jewish population, the Jewish race? Amazing to me. Now, Dave and I are not Jewish, so we find this offensive, and this is as bad as racism.
It is. Anti-Semitism is racism. Come on.
I don't care about the Black Lives Matter stuff. This is as bad as that. And the fact that she gets away with it yet again pisses me off beyond all belief. Pisses me off beyond all belief that Whoopi Goldberg, with her fake Jewish name, is so ignorant about the Holocaust.
Yep, it's absolutely, utterly amazing.
I think we need to zip tie her and Kyrie Irving together in the cargo bay of the plane of doom.
I think that is a brilliant idea.
Maybe we'll let Maverick fly the plane. Instead of
Make
pulling
the
up.
canyon
Instead
run.
of pulling up. Yeah,
He
instead of pulling up,
ejects.
though. Yeah, he ejects. Yeah. He'll eject and let the plane just smash into the mountainside.
There we go.
All right, final one. Ending on a little bit of a lighter note, even though it still, of course, involves a dumbass. A little bit of leftover Christmas cheer for everybody. Shepherdsville, Kentucky. This is how we punish people who are creative and brilliant. The police in Shepherdsville, Kentucky were called because of a complaint of a man exposing himself in a front yard in a suburban neighborhood of Shepherdsville. Police arrive on the scene to find out that it's a mannequin in an elaborate homage to Cousin Eddie from Christmas Vacation.
A man in his bathrobe
holding the sewer, the RV sewage line.
Shitter's full.
But the police are called because of this.
He was
now,
a mannequin in a short bathrobe.
I do have to say, I wonder if it wasn't somebody calling to get publicity for this.
You gotta wonder, don't you?
You don't. I mean, it's obvious. You stare at the thing for 5 minutes. It's not moving.
Not moving. Duh. Come on.
So I wonder if somebody didn't just do this to get the publicity. But the homeowner is very cool.
I like the idea.
They don't drink, so they got the Budweiser can the mannequin is holding from their neighbors, and the neighbors say, no, this is all on the up and up. They love that movie. Next year, they're going to do Clark Griswold falling off the roof. So this is a qualified dumbass.
Yep.
If somebody did actually call the police on this,
then
they're
they
the
would
dumbass.
be a full-on dumbass.
But otherwise, brilliant move.
Yep. Hey, this year we added the station wagon, the inflatable for our front yard, the station wagon with the tree. And next year, we're going to think about adding the tenement on wheels for our Christmas decorations.
What says Christmas better than extravagant, creative decorations?
Exactly.
He's a conquistador, Dave Height.
He's the maestro, Kevin Crane.
We hope you had a great Christmas. We hope you have a safe New Year's. If you don't want to go out for amateur night, please stay at home. Enjoy yourself. You know, and when I say that, I mean by any means necessary. Have your own little Christmas vacation.
And hey, over the last year, we've given you enough recommendations to keep you occupied.
Yeah, definitely. You've got enough movies, enough music, enough TV and streaming shows to check out. Next week, we will review Black Adam. Again, in terms of music, we will review our top 5 songs of the year along with new Nickelback.
Yep.
We'll give you our review of episode 5 of season 4 of Doom Patrol. Dave will probably have 14 books read by next week.
Now I'll have one more for you.
Jesus! I get 8 to 10 books done a year. And you literally get that much done before you go to bed at night. Every day.
Not quite.
I think I'll be ready to review the new Jack Reacher, No Plan B, in about 2 weeks.
Okay. Trying to think, how many months ago did it come?
Oh, shut up, Dave! For Dave.
He's Kev.
Let's just wrap this whole damn thing up. The last sports frenzy of 2022. Let's hope 2023 is better.
It's gotta be.
We will be there for you with our regular Thursday sports show and, of course, every Saturday morning here with the weekend edition. Take care, kids. We love you.
Happy New Year.